Making in the open isn't just a strategy, it's a call to action. It's an invitation to rethink how we innovate by embracing co-creation, collaboration, and community as the foundation for meaningful change by design. Yesterday and today you heard Mark speak about design thinking, but what is design? Now, I've had the opportunity to work as a designer for well over a decade, and I've had the opportunity to design everything from jewelry to concepts for flying vehicles. And now at XQ, I get to work on education. But for me, design simply is the tangible manifestation of a thought. It's the bridge between what we imagine and the reality that we can create. As Mark mentioned the other day, anyone with a mind to think and a heart to change the status quo is a redesigner. That's all of you, that's all of us. I often say that design is the invisible hand that shapes our lived experience. It's the conduit that turns our values and belief systems into tangible outputs, influencing how we work, how we live, and how we learn. The objects that you interact with every day, the apps on your phone, the chairs that you're sitting in, even the schedule that was designed today, these things aren't benign. They're embodiments of a philosophy, a culture, and a set of values of the people who created them. So as we embark on this journey to rethink, reimagine, and realize a new vision of education, we must ask ourselves, what are the shared values, culture, and philosophy we hope it embodies? Because these are the things that will ultimately shape its infrastructure, defining the products created, how it serves students, educators, and communities for generations to come. Tim kicked off this convening and spoke earlier today about the Carnegie Unit. The Carnegie Unit wasn't just an idea or even a set of policies. It became the culture, the philosophy, and shared values of our education system. And it birthed products and experiences that embodied that philosophy, like the structure of our textbooks, the linear grade-based transcripts, and even the architecture and design of the classrooms. But today we're confronting a reality where that philosophy constrains innovation, leaving too many voices out of the conversation. And so as we think about redesigning this system, we must ask again, whose voices get to participate in reimagining this shared experience? This is why making in the open is such a critical concept. Because true transformation doesn't happen behind closed doors or in isolated silos. It happens through collaboration, co-creation, and community, as we've seen through many of the conversations we've heard from today. It happens when we invite the voices of students like Carolina or Raina, who we heard from yesterday, and other communities who are often left out of the dialogue to help shape this collective experience of education that we're all in. So today I'm thrilled to introduce a few incredible redesigners from our community who will share 4 different projects showcasing how this approach of making in the open is driving real change. From designing tools that bridge social and cognitive skills with academic rigor, to creating innovative learning experiences, these projects are proof that the power of the collective can turn bold ideas into powerful action. One of the exciting examples of this approach is the XQ Competency Framework. It's a tool designed in community with many of you in this room to empower educators and students with the resources and skills needed to thrive in a modern, interconnected world. Even more, it's an open source platform for innovation that forms the foundation of new products, tools, and solutions that can transform student learning. To show you what this looks like in practice, I'm excited to hand it over to Mary Ryerse, a senior advisor at XQ and a lifelong advocate for quality education. Over to you.
Thank you, Azeez. Hi, everyone. We're still here learning and realizing new vision together. Thank you for your perseverance. I'd like to also thank again Ruslan and Tim for congregating all of us and for the commitment and passion that everyone's bringing to this. So I think we've agreed that we have gone beyond rethinking and redesigning, and we are realizing. And this is the point I think we come to as we realize new high schools together, high schools with new goals, new learning experiences, and new signals. We realize now more than ever that standards are not enough. I think we've all agreed to this. Educators have long known this. The best teachers in schools, I see many of you across this room, in the country, here and beyond, already go beyond standards to do it all, to ensure that every student has a viable path for the skills they need for life, for college career and life. And I want to thank Carolina and Raina again for yesterday, reminding of us. Priya grounded us, asked us to ground in our why we chose to come guest and learn together. And I think those two were a great foundation to show that. Employers have also seen a gap. They've long asked for people who can think critically, communicate effectively, and collaborate generously. I think everyone here is generously collaborating. They've long called for this workforce, and at the same time, these skills are not represented yet on a transcript. I think the picture Russell and Tim Amit painted yesterday, we know people are working on that. But at the same time, we live in a show what you know world, but we have a show where you sat transcript. That's going to change. Part of what we need is states are already responding. 18 states, in fact, have graduate profiles that articulate goals and are a step to the codification. Shout out to several state chiefs and leaders in the room from states across our country. Utah, North Dakota, Ohio, Indiana, and New York. Yeah, we see you. That is a step. And despite these efforts as a field, we've lacked a system to, number one, define the goals in depth. It's real easy to have the words, but what does it actually look like for kids? Secondly, to bridge them across disciplines. And most of all, to provide the tools that bring them to life, not only in the classroom, but in the hearts and minds of the students we serve. And that's where the competencies come in as a big piece to the puzzle. So we've partnered with experts to take the vast body of learning and developmental science and distill it into 37 competencies. They're actionable, they represent the cognitive, social, and emotional skills students need, and they really resonate with people. As you can see the cards here, if you need a dinner table conversation starter when you go home, pick up a pack of competencies. I guarantee you, whoever you eat with, whatever you do, I've flipped through them myself. I think Moses called this our flip deck. So the competency cards, and we also have the digital competency navigator platform. And so together, these tools start to help us turn theory and research into practice, into thriving and engaged students. And here's how. So you can see just a little screenshot on the navigator. I know that some of you have stopped by the table demo before, but you can see with the navigator, there's an AI-powered interface. Nikki Wallace's terms were game-changing AI interface to be able to identify the standards needed for high-quality learning experiences. There's also a growing library of explicit skill-building lessons that can be used in any subject or in any context, in the traditional school day or beyond. And they're fun. Like some of this is, we need to take these long spreadsheets and big ideas and make them into actionable things that students can do and learn, and shows them what they're learning beyond. So this also, and most importantly, it creates the infrastructure for all of us to work together. We have a common language, we have a common infrastructure, and we can help together bring these to life for students and represent it in the currency they carry beyond high school. Just a few examples of use cases. You heard from Nikki yesterday how she uses the navigator in her classroom to create amazing lessons. We have school and network leaders here. I'll just shout out a few. I see you who are pioneering this. Moses at Edison. We have the Aarons, one at Crosstown, one at Ryerse. I see Kiana here from Purdue. We have people who are Chris from Grand Rapids and so many more beyond in the country who are using these as instructional leadership, as commitments to students that they'll see the whole picture. So it's applicable at the classroom level, at the leadership level, and you're soon going to hear from curriculum makers. As a curriculum maker, David takes the competencies and he's put them into a unit of study, a learning experience that uses virtual reality to teach protein synthesis and persuasive communication. And you'll hear from Aatash, a technologist who integrates with the platform to further the AI experience for teachers to develop great things. So likewise, if there were one thing I'd do, if it's part of guesting is inviting. This is an open invitation to say, we need you. These competencies have been built with multiple voices from the field. What will take them forward and convert them into measurable currency and transferable skills for students will require all of us. So we hope you do. Pick up a deck of the competency cards, take some time on the navigator, take a guided tour or your self-guided tour. Speaking of guided tours, we're about to take one inside of a cell with David. So I'm going to turn it back to Azeez. Thank you all.
Thank you, Mary, for that amazing presentation. So just as Mary is saying, the competencies is a platform that other things can be built on top of. And so I'm really excited to bring David Sarno to the stage, who's been working in collaboration with XQ and Carnegie to build learning experiences and curriculums to see how can we blend the competencies and bring that into an actual classroom experience.
Thanks, Azeez. Hey, everybody, it's great to be here. My team at Lighthaus has been making virtual reality-powered science learning for about the past decade. And one of the things that I'm quite fond of is DNA in all its facets. And one of the cool things about DNA is it's a really good metaphor for a lot of different things. And so when we started using the XQ competencies that Mary was just talking about, I started to think about the competencies as a kind of DNA, a really powerful, versatile language for creating the kinds of exciting, meaningful, fun learning experiences that we have all been talking about. So a little bit about why we do what we do in making virtual reality science. When you go into any high school and it's time to learn about cells and DNA, you're gonna see diagrams like this. Probably most of us, no matter what decade you graduated in, this kind of looks familiar. And it's a blob and some wiggles and some arrows and some stuff. And that's what we're using for most students to represent these fascinating, vibrant processes that are happening inside all of our 37 trillion cells at every moment of our lives. Is that? So that's what we want to do, is we want to unlock the learning from that kind of diagram, or another way to say it is to drop students into the center of it and immerse students in it. And so that's what we do with virtual reality learning. So here's a student that's going to be in a headset, they're in a cell, and they're working with the mitochondria, and they're using RNA to create proteins. And they're taking the proteins over to the Golgi body. Remember that? It sends proteins around the cell. And then they can get even smaller and go inside the nucleus and then actually interact with the DNA and build RNA and then build proteins. So this is the same stuff that was happening in that diagram, but now you're doing it, you're controlling it, and you're building the proteins that make up our body and our hair and our nails and the digestive enzymes that you probably feel in your stomach rumbling right now. So it's cool, right? But when we started working with XQ and the competencies, we started to think, wow, we can really do so much more with this if we connect that to students' real lives and their real realities and real people. And so that was the beginning of our learning experience called the gene tail, where we take this, the sense of DNA, and when there's a change in it, a mutation, that changes a protein, something in your body, and that change can lead to a health condition. And so in a gene tail, students find someone they know, a friend or a family member, and they tell the story of their health condition and the genetic DNA basis for it. So the competencies that Mary was talking about really just lit the way for how we structured this unit. And the first thing that students have to do is go find somebody with a health condition to interview and to get their story. And so when you're gonna do that, it's all about empathy and thoughtfulness and sensitivity if you're talking to somebody with a health condition. And scientific investigation, of course, you have to understand the mechanics of the DNA, just like we were just talking about. And then you have to kind of weave all these different inputs of the VR and the conversation with people and other research you've done into a meaningful understanding of what's happening. And then finally, you tell the story of that person and their condition by making a video about them and kind of weaving in the science throughout it. So we were just really inspired with what we got from students. They interviewed all kinds of friends and family members about a lot of different kinds of health conditions, some less serious, some very serious. But what ended up happening was not only did they get a sense of the underlying biology of the conditions, but they understood the sort of human level of health and disease that was very important in the design that we wanted. So I actually have headsets if you want to come check out the VR, but thank you very much for everything. All right.
Thank you, David. That was really cool. Like when I was in high school, I thought I was going to be a pediatric surgeon. So maybe if I would have had something like that, I probably would have stayed on that path. But speaking of high school, we know that math is one of the most difficult subjects to innovate in and change. And so I'm really excited to introduce Rachel Safferstone and Amy Leasgang to talk about an initiative that we've been working on, math badging and XQ Math.
Hello again. I'm going to talk a bit more about XQ's approach to math and how the products that we're building support a movement away from the Carnegie unit. First, why did we start with math? A recent Gallup poll found that only half of high school students believe that high school meaningfully challenges them, and only 59% believe they learned something interesting in the past week. This failure of high school to deliver meaningful experiences is perhaps most evident in math. I'm guessing we've all heard a student say, "When am I ever going to use this?" when talking about high school math. We may even have said it ourselves when we were in high school. Also, we've learned from XQ's educational opportunity audit that too many students get off track from the traditional high school math sequence, and that the rigid structure of high school math makes it hard for them to get back on track. To address this challenge, XQ has broken down the traditional high school math sequence into 23 competency-based badges. Each badge is deeply connected to real-world application. We're working with educators in Idaho, Illinois, and Kentucky, and our newest partner, the Bureau of Indian Education. These educators are using the badges to build more engaging approaches to high school math that reflect student interests. XQ developed a toolkit for each badge focused on modern assessment methods. Students build portfolios demonstrating their expertise and knowledge and engage in performance assessments. Each badge's toolkit outlines what students need to know and helps teachers assess their proficiency. But the badges are not learning experiences in themselves. I'm going to ask Amy Leasgang, one of our partner educators, to talk about our new program, XQ Math. XQ Math is a series of project-based learning units aligned to the badges, beginning with Algebra 1. We've also baked the XQ competencies into each XQ Math learning experience. Amy?
Thanks, Rachel. I'm Amy Leasgang, and I teach math at the middle and high school levels in Bullitt County, Kentucky. I've been engaged with the math badging work in Kentucky for more than 2 years, and more recently have been piloting XQ Math in my classroom. XQ Math is organized into 6 modules, each focused on a single badge. Each module includes a major project that pulls the students into the material, supplemented by shorter proficiency-building exercises. From day 1 of each unit, students are immersed in real-world applications, making math meaningful. Through my experience with modules, I have seen students show their evidence of learning in a variety of ways. Students who normally struggle with standardized tests have more options and chances to show proficiency. Students have created different products like automated slides, movies, and some have even built props, but whatever way they choose, it's up to them. It helps me as a teacher see their thinking throughout the whole module. I'm not asked, when will I ever use this, because they are researching and experiencing it on their own. I invite you to join me and other members of the XQ Math community to learn more about how we are implementing and helping to build math badging in XQ Math.
Thank you, Rachel and Amy. So last but not least, what happens when we can take the competencies and also start to build AI tools that can start to democratize the resources for teachers and educators to be able to build new innovative learning experiences? I'm really excited to bring on Aatash and Moni, CEO and Chief Product Officer from Inkwire, to share the tool that they've been working on in collaboration with some of the people in this community.
Hi, I'm Aatash.
I'm Moni.
We're co-founders at Inkwire. The both of us actually met as middle school teachers in Oakland Unified School District. We were in separate schools, but we would get together at our monthly PDs, and then we both bonded because we both were throwing out the district-provided curriculum and then spending our own evenings and weekends designing real-world projects for students that were a lot more engaging than what our district provided us. We know how powerful these real-world experiences are for students, but we also know the amount of work teachers have to put in to design these. And so with Inkwire, we wanted to build an AI co-pilot specifically for real-world project-based learning to take that burden of planning off of teachers and give them back their time and energy to focus on personalizing for and connecting with their students. As we built Inkwire, we wanted to collaborate with experts like many of you in this room to make sure that what we're building is based on research and best practices. And that's actually where our collaboration with XQ came in. We've integrated the XQ competencies into Inkwire so that teachers can integrate those and align their experiences to the competencies. So let's take a look at how it works. So imagine you are teaching about the Cold War. You choose which academic standards you'd like to align to, but then you have a competency selector and you can choose specific XQ competencies and component skills. We've actually baked in the XQ competency progressions into Inkwire, so it's actually going deep and really designing around all the work that's been put into the competencies. Then you collaborate with AI and a research-backed framework to flesh out components like an essential question, community partners, and then within minutes, you get a first draft of an actual learning experience that you can use with students, aligned to standards, aligned to competencies. So as you can see, you get a ready-to-use one-pager. You also get, as a teacher, a plan, which is a detailed scope and sequence. So the activities students are doing, the deliverables they need to create, as well as the prep work that needs to happen by the teacher from week to week and day to day. So really making it tangible for teachers.
Our long-term vision at Inkwire is to build the technical infrastructure so that every single student can have a portfolio that showcases the competencies they've developed both inside but also outside of school walls. And our collaboration with XQ has been incredible. So we actually kicked it off with a design sprint over the summer where we got to share our individual values, but then also collaborate on the impact that we wanted to create together. And from there, we kicked off building this XQ competency integration where the XQ product team was very open with sharing assets, data, anything we needed in order to build this integration. And I think that this really speaks to their commitment to openly and widely sharing their research, their resources to reimagine high school across the country and across the world. But also it helped us further our own mission as well with making sure that we can help teachers design projects that are competency aligned. And if you would like to learn more or talk to us, then please feel free to scan this QR code. Also, we will be attending the collaborative making session. If you are also attending, feel free to come talk to us there.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Aatash, Moni, Rachel, Amy, and David. We've got a lot of intellectual stimulation over the past couple of days, so it's really great to see how those theories and thoughts and science turn into practical applications that we can use within the classroom and beyond. So with that, I hope you guys can see what the power of community can do to create real change within our education system. And I hope today sparks new ideas and pathways for all of us to engage in deeper collaboration, co-creation, and meaningful impact. Thank you.